A tiny village known as Limoto in Palisa district has many secrets about water and wetlands. The people who named Limoto corrupted the Ateso word or Lumot, meaning a wet place. That was many years ago. Today, Limoto is a wetland that is being kept for conservation, and its water supports livelihoods, fishing and irrigated agriculture. This has not been the case for many decades. About 10 years ago, Limoto was converted into an expansive garden of rice. The wildlife in the wetland disappeared, the water dried up, and Palisa became thirsty. In the last 2 years, Limoto has been restored. The previous rice growers are now reaping from alternative livelihoods that do not endanger the environment. Jackson Odaka, a resident of Limoto, used to cultivate rice in the bug-infested mud in the wetland. Today, Odaka engages in irrigated horticulture outside the wetland.
Ministry ya water and environment netukubaku netusobola otunyana otutandikisa enyumense y'omulembe otutola omwega twalitono n'entobazi so tutuuka mu kuzwayo amaani ge twatukozesa mu ntobazi tininya amaani ge tukozesa mu enyumense y'akabibalenga okungula okutwalinga tukungula mu ntobazi twatulimayo kumpi ekejera 10 naye nga tukungula ensawo 10.
Edsa Namuge, a resident of Limoto who rears turkeys as part of her backyard enterprises, is happy about the skills she has been given.
okubanga twekulakulane mu famire gyaisunge batugenda muyiga kusomesera muka baana no okubanga osobola okutunda n'okukola ekintu ekindi.
Namuge is one of the farmers that are benefiting from the project building resilient communities that is being implemented in 24 districts including Palisa in eastern Uganda. For Nafulinda Nsamba, who has turned to rearing cattle, wears a smile when she narrates how life has changed.
Ati ane kirabo kino kinfunisirya magoba nkamamu amata gazo Amerita 5 kale nfuname sente.
Previously, the neighbors of Limoto were unfriendly to the wetland. They drained the wetland to grow rice. The communities ran out of the water as a result of destroying the wetland.
As Palisa, we are appreciative the President's initiative for the introduction of the Limoto Wetland Restoration Project. Because 5 to 10 years ago, Limoto swamp was a wash of rice gardens, and really it had drained all the water.
The Deputy Cow stresses that the interventions have helped the communities make money without destroying the wetlands. This should be replicated in other parts of the country. As part of the restoration, according to Paul Mafabi, the National Project Coordinator, they had to get alternatives to rice growing. In his view, growing rice in the wetland was part of a quick fix to get income.
We have used the awareness, we have also used the enforcement, but we realized that they were not yielding positive results. So the approach that this project took was to, one, to ensure that the communities who are affected through the restoration activities are provided with alternative livelihood options.
Limoto Wetland is also a source of fish and also improves the microclimate of the people living in its vicinity. The restoration of the wetland is key in increasing the resilience of the population against climate change.
So the main element of this project is the element of building resilience, which is very critical in terms of adaptation.
In addition, Mafabi says the restoration of Limoto Wetland is important to the residents of Palisa town because it feeds Lake Lemwa, where Palisa's piped drinking water is pumped. removed.
A new water facility has now been constructed that is now supplying water to Palisa town and the surrounding areas. So for us, we consider this a big success story that we believe we can replicate elsewhere.
The Ministry of Water and Environment says that climate is changing and there is need to protect wetlands so that they can shield the population from floods.
We must avoid cumulative impacts that undermine the capacity of wetlands to continue to support biodiversity, as well as reduce the resilience of wetlands to respond to ongoing threats and pressures.
The minister also explains that the local people who had encroached on the wetland had to be treated humanely. This is because the top leadership of the country is against mistreating people.
His Excellency the President does not encourage people growing rice in wetlands. But then at the same time, His Excellency has instructed that we should not treat people inhumanly.
At Limoto, the communities as well as government backed by funding bodies, Global Climate Fund and UNDP are proving that wetlands can be conserved and used for creating livelihoods. The restoration efforts have also turned Limoto into a model for the wise use of wetlands in 24 districts across eastern and western Uganda. As Uganda celebrates the World Wetlands Day under the theme, Wetlands and Biodiversity, Limoto Wetland stands out as an example of what communities and the government need to do to achieve the wise of wetlands.
If they've had eyes, probably they would avoid your house. But the floods are looking for their home. You know, when they are moving, they are looking for their home. And before they were their homes were interfered with, they had no problem.